Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Grow with G. I'm so excited to be doing another episode again. I feel like it's been a while because after I got back from the Philippines, I had to get my life in order. I was planning a 6-month backpacking trip across South and Central America and then moving to New York straight after without coming home in between. So life was a bit chaotic. Originally, I was meant to start my trip in mid-Feb and go to Canada first, but in the Philippines, I met some Brazilians who were telling me all about carnival and Brazil, and I had to go. So at first, I didn't think it was going to be realistic because carnival was so soon. But then I was like looking it up and it was actually super doable. I think they've opened up a lot of new flights from Australia, so it only took me 20 hours to get there. It's a direct flight, Melbourne, Santiago, and then a stopover and then a 4-hour flight to Rio. And yeah, I booked it a few weeks out and it was like 1.7k Australian, which was like doable. And yeah, so I cancelled Canada. Originally, I was trying to do both, but it made life a lot easier just to cut out Canada. I was meant to be skiing with a friend in Whistler, but then it was good because then I didn't have ski stuff that I had to store and then come back for, and Canada and Brazil are pretty far apart. I didn't even realize how long that flight journey was going to take, and it was going to be pretty much the same cost as going from Oz to Brazil, from Brazil, Canada, vice versa. So decided not to do Canada, which made me feel a lot better too, because ever since my accident, I felt like a bit nervous about skiing again, and I just had so much riding on the next 6 months. I was like, I can't be injured and miss these expensive retreats I paid for and all of that. So felt kind of okay about cancelling it, and oh my gosh, carnival is the most incredible thing I've ever experienced. Like, there's nothing in the world like this. Nothing. And yeah, I just feel like it's not super common for Australians to go to Brazil. So I don't think a lot of people know about it, but it's the coolest thing ever. So I want to do this episode about taking you with me to Carnival, so I can hopefully get more people excited and wanting to come to Brazil. I started in Rio, and Rio is the best city ever. It is incredible. It has beaches, it has a rainforest next to the beaches, and it's got the city in the beaches as well. Like, so incredible. It's my favorite city by far ever. I've spent 2 weeks here. Honestly, I don't think that's enough, especially in carnival time. It's got everything you need: museums, galleries, shops, cafes, clubs, bars, restaurants. Seriously, like, and the people, the food, it is incredible. So come to Carnival with me next year. I will be coming back every single year. It's the coolest experience ever. So basically, Carnival, the main thing is the blocos, which is a bunch of block parties, and they're so much fun, so fun. So they start like end of Jan, and then the main Carnival weekend, when people have all the public holidays, is like around the 9th of Feb, and that's when like the parade is. And the parade is like all the samba schools, and samba's kind of like salsa, but I think like a Brazilian kind of way. They all perform, and they have like the floats and the dances, and then that sort of all wraps up on the Tuesday, and then people start going back to work on the afternoon of Wednesday. They have half a public holiday on the Wednesday. So they all start work Wednesday afternoon, and then there's still carnival things going on that week and weekends, and the blocos keep going, I think, until the end of the month. So my first day in Rio, I went to a bloco. It's funny, I was meant to, like, that morning I was planning on going to a cafe and journaling and planning, and there were people at breakfast going to the blocos, and I'm like, well, I should go, like, just to suss the vibe of the blocos before the proper weekend, the next weekend. And there was like a Brazilian at the breakfast who hadn't slept, who was like, come with me, like, I'll show you. So naturally I went, and I went in normal clothes because I was like, oh, I'm just going to go for half the day and then I'm going to go sightseeing. What an idea that was, because that was never going to happen. It was so much fun, the blocos. So they are either stationary or they move. This was a moving one, and it was in the most beautiful street, like jungle vibes, but like houses. And we were just like walking with the blocko. There was a band, there were dancers, and we just like walked with the blocko, and we met up with this guy, a couple of people from the hostel, and then his friends, and it was a really chill one. Like, people could like leave and come back, and you were just really slowly walking on one straight street, so you could kind of always find the blocko. It was incredible. It was so cool. Like, the energy, everyone was dancing and walking and singing, and it was like classic Portuguese songs. So I really wish I knew the lyrics so I could have sang with everyone. But it was cool just to be there and dance and in the sun, and it was great. The only thing that was like not great was there's these carts that sell like food and drinks, and they are relentless and aggressive. Like, they will run you over if you were in their way, and it's like, bro, why are you in a rush? Like, all of these people here are your customers. Like, why do you need to get to the front? Like, I didn't understand it. They were running people's feet over. They did not care at all. So you had to sort of avoid them, which you could do, but it was a challenge for sure. So fun though. So yeah, we met up with this Brazilian guy's friends. He introduced us to some French people who was so much fun, such good energy. And yeah, I was with some girls from the hostel too. And after that, we went to a football game, and the game itself like really sucked, but no one scored any points. And I heard it was actually like two not great teams playing, but we were there for the vibes, and the vibes were immaculate. Like, people were singing and chanting and cheering, and it was a very cool atmosphere. Like, even you're not really there. I mean, I wasn't there for the sport. I was there for that atmosphere, which was so cool. So we did that, and then I had a couple of days sightseeing before the actual carnival started. Like, there were blocos going on the whole week, but I was like, no, I'm gonna just wait till the main weekend. Looking back, maybe I think if I was to change anything, I would probably, do a blocko one day, sightsee, chill the next, do another blocko, because I ended up doing like back-to-back blocos over the main weekend, and that was so fun, but kind of ruined me a little bit. I'm a little bit sick now. I might cough a bit, or take some water. And yeah, so if the episode's a bit stop-start, that's why. And yeah, I wasn't even getting much sleep during that week of sightseeing either, because I was just doing so much, and then we were going out, and I was just having like pretty interrupted sleeps with everyone coming into the hostel. Like, I think hostels are such a great way to meet people, but you don't sleep that well when people are coming in and out all the time, turning on lights, they're talking, they're getting ready when you're trying to sleep. So yeah, I was averaging like 3 to 4 hours of sleep a night, which is so bad. Like, back home, I get 9 hours pretty much, or like 8 hours. So to literally half that and be doing so much more, I think, yeah, it's taken a real toll on me. I have been so exhausted at the end of Carnival. So yeah, don't recommend sleeping 4 hours a night. Definitely not. And my body clock just wakes me up at like 7 a.m. even if I go to bed at 4 a.m. Like, I don't understand. Someone help me sleep in, because this is so annoying. Anyway, the days of sightseeing were amazing. It was a great way to make friends to be with for Carnival, because I went on my own for this trip. Like, I have friends who live in Rio and friends who are going to be in Rio, but like from Brazil. But for the most part was on my own, so it was a really good way to meet people and build some connections before starting to party together, which was really fun. There's so much to do in Rio. It's such a sick city. We did cable cars up Sugarloaf Mountain. I went to Christ the Redeemer, beach days, exploring cool neighborhoods around here. I stayed in a couple of different neighborhoods to sort of get a feel for them. You want to stay in like the touristy ones, I think, just for safety. If you're with other people, there are definitely better spots you can be in, but the spots I stayed in were Copacabana and Ipanema, and yeah, I'd say most of the tourists stay there, and that's where a lot of the hostels are, and it's by the beach, which is the perfect recovery whenever you need it. Otherwise, people stayed in Centro, or like a place called Lapa, which was kind of the party place. So I did a lot of cool sightseeing activities. I also went hang gliding, and that was very off-brand for me. Like, I am afraid of heights. I don't like roller coasters or any of that adrenaline sort of sports. So I was really nervous, but it just seemed like the thing to do in Rio. Like, it's the most insane views, so I did it, and I conquered my fear of it for sure. It was really chill. It was really lovely. I really recommend to anyone, even people who were scared of it. It just felt like you were gliding in the air. Like, it was so beautiful. Like, can't speak of it highly enough. It's really cool to push your limits when you're traveling, I think, because you're already out of your comfort zone. It's kind of easier to just keep going. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but I feel like if you're at home feeling safe, you just keep doing safe things. But when you're out, you try new things and you can do more, I think. That's me personally. So that was a really cool experience to push myself. And then I had a couple of early nights before the carnival starting because I just needed to rest. And I'm glad I did that to recharge a bit before the weekend. Because the weekend was massive. So yeah, did back-to-back blocos for 4 days straight, and pretty much went out most nights as well. The blocos, so they were kind of hit or miss, to be honest. It was either like the best day ever or just like kind of average, because like if you were late to the bloco, you could miss it and it could be hard to find, or there'd be too many people and then you couldn't really get close to where the band were. But if you nailed it, you had the best time. And there's like different types of music as well. So yeah, you also want like one with good music, good vibes. I'd say my best day of blocos was, there was this bloco by the beach that I was going to with my Brazilian friends, and I met all of his friends, and they were so much fun, and it was the best like classic Portuguese music, and it was just so much fun in the sun, dancing by the beach. It was great. And then we hit another bloco in the afternoon, but yeah, like we're a bit late, so we didn't really get to the core of it. We were just walking with a lot of people and meeting more of his friends, and it was so cool. They had fully like closed off tunnels, and everyone was just dancing in the tunnel. It was incredible. Like there's nothing like this. Like so cool. So yeah, that was a big day. I got like, it started at 8 a.m. And I got back to my hostel at like 7 p.m. I was going to have a chill night in because I was going to the parade the next night, and all these Brazilians saw me staying in and they were like, you cannot stay in, you have to come out. So I went out and I was like, I guess I'll recover later. And it was a really fun night out, but I didn't stay too late because I was exhausted. Yeah, so that was probably my favorite bloco day, but there was another bloco we went to which was in a park, and it was more like family vibe one, and there were people fully dressed up in these outfits on stilts, dancing, singing, and I was like, Brazilians just have life figured out. Like they know. Like they are who they are. Like they don't hide anything. They're not scared of rejection, what I've noticed. Because so there's a massive kissing culture, especially at the carnival, which is like kind of great, kind of not, because it's fun to kiss people you're into for sure, but obviously there are a lot of people who try to kiss you that you're not into, and they are relentless. Like you really have to stand your ground if you don't want to kiss someone. Because they love to do that, and I don't know, if you're not into it, it's a bit gross, because you've probably kissed a lot of people and you see them kiss other people as well after you, or like even if you didn't kiss, you'll just like see them do that with other people. But yeah, I was like, do I move to Brazil? Because this is a vibe. Like the parades, they're so full of energy. They party so hard. Like, oh my gosh, I cannot keep up with them. Like, gosh, I don't even know where to start. They had parties that would start at like 9 p.m. that go to 9 a.m. after a full day of blocos. And I'm like, I cannot do that. But good for you. I was also not drinking a lot for a couple of different reasons. Like if you've been following the pod, you know that I've been drinking less and I'm really enjoying it. Like I love remembering a night out. I love not being a fool of myself. And it's good to be in control in this sort of country. I think like there are some kind of overwhelming experiences, and if you are not able to cope, like it's hard enough to cope when you're sober, and add in the fact if you are trashed, like you're just going to get yourself in some pretty bad situations. Like I've definitely seen both sides of carnival. People getting too drunk, people being sick on the street, people crying, people not having a good time. And I think maybe it's different if you're in a big group and you know that you've got the safety of your group, but I really had to have my own back on this trip because yes, I was going out with people, but like they don't fully know me, they don't fully, like I can't trust everyone to look after me, you know? And if you know me, I can be a very sloppy drunk, so it's just better for me not to. But yeah, like obviously a lot of the Brazilians were drinking a lot and good for them. But I enjoyed not doing that, and it was more of like cultural partying than like getting drunk partying. And honestly, that was so much more fun to enjoy it and like remember it and soak it in instead of just being drunk, you know? So I definitely recommend like that side of carnival, but if you want to get absolutely out of your mind, like you can do that too. However you want to live your life is the right way, you know? So yeah, you can do what I do. You can go sober. I think like a lot of me enjoying my time sober I can attribute it to becoming more confident in myself and realizing that like that fun drunk energy that comes out when you're drinking, like you can channel that sober. Like when you're truly comfortable with who you are and you're confident as a person and you can dance and not care what anyone else thinks and do what feels good, that's when you can radiate your own energy without any substances. And it's been really fun to do that. And I think it's easier to do that in a place where you don't know everyone because you just care a lot less. Like you're not worried about what your friends think of you. You can just be. And if people don't like it, like who cares, right? So I've really been embodying that lately, and it's been really fun, and people are noticing it. Like people are loving my energy, and that's really fun. So highly recommend going to these things sober. You can just definitely enjoy it a lot more. But yeah, there are times where, you know, there's like the not so enjoyable parts of the blocko, like if it's too crowded and you can't dance, and if you're missing it and you can't find it. you can't find your friends, or like there are some, if the blockers are smaller, you can like meet up with your friends, but if it's too big, like it's just too hard to meet up with people, or there's like no I mean, I have reception the whole time actually, but pretty much. But yeah, they were very busy. So your best chance was just going in with the people you want to be with, because sometimes it's harder to meet up with the other people. Oh yeah, and another reason why it's good to be sober is the locals, like there are some people who want to exploit carnival and pickpocket tourists, so it's really good to be aware of your surroundings and be able to protect your belongings and yourself. So yeah, highly recommend. Maybe you don't have to be sober, but just have a few, like don't push yourself too much, and then it's awesome because then you're not hungover and then you can keep going and keep partying. So really fun. So yeah, I went to like a lot of different types of blockers, which was really amazing. Good to see the different types. Some had dances, some had bands, some just had music. Really incredible vibes all around. And then I went to the parades. So this was really expensive. This was like $170 US. And I was umming and ahhing because I could go like the few nights before and I could get a cheaper ticket, like a lot cheaper, like $30 US, but it's sort of like the B grade Samba schools and they don't have as much money to put into the parades, like the floats, the costumes, the outfits, and the dances, the preparation. So I did decide on buying the more expensive ticket because I thought, look, I'm in Rio, I'm in Carnival, I don't know when I'm going to be back here. Well, it's kind of funny to look back on now because I'm like, honestly, I want to come back every year. So maybe it wasn't necessary, but I am a big believer of when you are traveling, spend the money. Like save up properly before you get here so you can do all of the things you want to do. I don't see the point in arriving in a city and not being able to do things because you can't afford it. I just think do things properly. You'll have a better experience and, you know, make your trip a bit shorter, but actually enjoy it and do all the cool things instead of coming here and not being able to do anything and complaining about money and how expensive things are. Like, you have to accept that 1, you're going to spend money, and 2, you're going to lose money too. And you kind of just have to get okay with it. Otherwise, you know, you'll just be in a bit of a battle with yourself. So yeah, save up. Like for this trip, like I was saving all of last year. I was very stingy with my money. I was making coffees at home. I was hardly eating out. I wasn't really going out that much. And yeah, even like right before this trip, I started to cut coffee out because I didn't want to be buying coffees all the time while I'm here and relying on it. So I do think it's just so worth always doing the things you want to do. Like even the hang gliding was expensive, but what a cool experience. Like investing in experiences is so much better than buying designer things, or I mean, whatever you value is right. So maybe you could ignore what I just said. I personally prefer to spend money on experiences and to experience the country properly instead of like miss out on things because I don't have the money. But equally, you know, you can come back to places. Like you don't have to do everything all at once either. So it also would have been perfectly fine if I got the cheaper ticket or if I didn't go at all, because then I met people who were going another night and I could have gone with them. Like, or if when I come back, I can go with friends next time instead of going on my own. But I think you never know when you're traveling, right? And I think traveling is all about making the best next decision. I've been feeling a bit of travel indecision lately, and I keep changing my mind and my plans. But I think you just have to come back to making the next best decision for yourself. And at that time, the next best decision for me was buying that carnival ticket because I never knew if I was going to be coming back or not. But I'm 100% coming back, and I hope I'm convincing all of you to come back to because it's just the best thing ever. And like this parade was one of the best nights of my life. The dances were incredible, the floats were incredible. The way they coordinate so many people is insane. Like, so at the parade, there's like 6 samba schools, and they each have an hour to do their parade down this strip. And oh my gosh, so cool, so incredible. The music, the atmosphere, the routines, the way the floats tie in with the dancers and the music. I was having the time of my life alone as well. The only thing I don't recommend about being alone was getting home afterwards, which I was really nervous about from the beginning because it seemed like a very chaotic situation to be putting myself in. But I was really hoping that I would meet people traveling who would want to buy a ticket and come, or people would by chance have a ticket to that night, or I would make friends there. But the tickets go up in price closer to the parade starting, so kind of by the time I was going, no one else really wanted to spend that much money because it just got more and more expensive, which is fair enough. And then I did have friends going that night, but they were in other sectors of the parade, and the parade is massive. So I just thought it was going to be really hard to meet up with them to get home, and some of them had transfers booked. I looked at the transfers, but they were so expensive, like $100, and I was like, my ticket was $170. Like, you can't tell me to spend $100 on a transfer. And it was one of those things where it was like, look, if I'm definitely going to be robbed on the way home, okay, spend the money on the transfer, because like if someone steals my phone, like that's way more annoying than $100. But it's also one of those things where like, if it's fine, it's fine. It was not fine for me. So I should have booked the transfer. I got scammed on my way home, which was really scary, horrible, awful, all of the above. I stayed really late at the Sambadrome. So the doors open at 7, parade starts at 10, it goes till 6 a.m. My friends were performing it was meant to be 4 a.m, but the parades get kind of delayed. So they came on at, they were meant to come on at 3, but they came on at 4. And I was exhausted at this point, but I was like, I'm staying to watch my friends. This is so incredible that my friends are in this parade. So, but I was like really almost collapsing with how tired I was. And it was that weird thing, like, do I have a Red Bull? But then I won't be able to sleep later. So I didn't. I kind of wish I did, so I could function. Anyway, I was getting home. It was like 5 a.m. Oh, their parade was amazing. Like, that was definitely the best parade. So it was worth staying. But yeah, as I was leaving, it was a really sketchy area. I was not thinking properly. I ordered an Uber. I got in the Uber. A lot was lost in translation. This guy didn't really speak English. I don't speak Portuguese. Honestly, I really wish I had a basic understanding of some things, but I've been trying to learn Spanish because I'm going to be in way more Spanish-speaking countries, and I was honestly like, 2 languages is too much. But in hindsight, I really think that that's a big part of traveling to a country like this. Like in Europe, like you're fine, but I think in these sorts of countries, you do need a basic level. I have a SIM card and data, so I can usually use Google Translate, but this was bad. He was like driving and using Google Translate, not paying attention on the road. That was really scary. Basically, he cancelled the ride and started driving, and I didn't know this because I was so tired and out of it. And then he was trying to rip me off to get me home, basically saying I had to pay him 500 reals, which is like probably like 250 Australian-ish, which is kind of the cost of the transfer that I had looked at. I mean, maybe a bit less. I mean, more. And I'm like arguing with him in fucking over Google Translate and freaking out, like almost crying, but then being like, Georgia, like pull yourself together. Like you cannot be crying in this sort of situation. And he was like, if you don't pay me, I'm not going to drop you anywhere safe. It's 5 a.m. It's like pitch black. I'm freaking out. Luckily, I was texting one of my Brazilian friends who was being so helpful at the time. And then I ended up saying to the guy, look, I'll give you all the cash I have, but I only have 300. And he's like, okay, I'll accept 300. And he dropped me home. I had taken out 300 because I thought that getting home was going to be really hard, and like worst case, I'd have to pay the 300 real, which is like just under 100 Australian, I think, to get home. So like I had been prepared to pay a taxi driver that, but I had thought Uber was a lot safer because you know the drivers, you can kind of track it. But it was really scary that I had a bad situation in Uber, but I was out of it, honestly. Like, again, I was sober, but I was just so tired, and it was the end of the weekend. And I don't know. I can't really blame myself. I shouldn't blame myself because just there are people who want to take advantage of tourists in a tourist area in a, you know, this sort of event. So I'm thankful I wasn't hurt. He didn't take my phone or anything like that. Like, at the end of the day, it's just money, and it just rattled me because it was scary because of how out of control I was. And I was so thankful that I hadn't been drinking, and that, you know, I wasn't coping well, but at least I wasn't drunk as well. And at the end of the day, look, getting scammed, that like 100 Aussie is still cheaper than the transfer I could have booked, but you know, looking back on it, I really should have booked the transfer to pay for that safety. I think as a solo female traveler in this sort of country, those are the steps you should take. Like, you shouldn't be trying to save a bit of money because those experiences are really scary and it's just not worth it. So yeah, solo travel tips is like, pay for the safety. If you're feeling nervous about something, like, it's probably for a reason, and like, listen to yourself. Yeah, it really rattled me. I was like crying a lot the next day. But yeah, at the end of the day, it was just money in that situation. So it's okay. I'm okay, and I was just really tired. It is a really big weekend or week or 2 weeks, whatever you do. So you have to be kind to yourself and let yourself rest too. I think I just got a bit excited by all of the fun things that were going on, but looking back, you know, it could have been good to slow down a bit more, take some more time off. Because the activities go on for so long. Like, even as I'm recording this, the week after Carnival official, the blocos are still going. Like, I could have spread it out. I could have done a couple this weekend, a couple last weekend, instead of like so many all at once. And I think that is like a really important travel reminder. Like, you can slow down, and you know, these block parties will be here next year, and if you miss one, it really doesn't matter. You can always come back. You can always do things again. I had a couple of other travel mishaps after Carnival. I'm going to do another episode on this because this episode is just about Carnival and trying to hype people for next year, because yeah, I want to come back. I want to bring all my friends. Like, yes, I had that like little scam experience. I lost a little bit of money. It was a little bit scary, but the whole of it, like, it did not put a dampener on my whole experience. I absolutely loved Carnival. I met so many incredible people. I had the best time, the best experiences, so much fun, energy. I really want to come back as many times as I can while I'm young, for sure. And I really hope you listening can feel that excitement and want to come too. So let me know if you're interested. Let me know if you have any questions, if you want me to elaborate on anything. Yeah, it was the best time. It was the best. I'm still just so excited thinking about everything that happened. I love Rio too, so much. It's an incredible city to be in, and then add in this whole festivities of carnival. Like it's insane. Like I really want everyone who's interested, I guess, in this sort of experience to experience it once in their life. And like I think the younger the better, but obviously you can do it whenever you want. And yeah, good to do with friends, obviously, but you can do it solo. You can meet people here. There are so many people who come just for this. And then there are also people who are here and like during carnival are not going to carnival and it's not their thing. So if it's not your thing, no worries. Yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap it up here because I feel like I've talked a lot. So I hope that was super informative and also fun. It was the best, you guys. It was the best. Anyway, love you so much. I'm gonna do a whole episode on my just like general Brazil travels soon. I've got a couple weeks left in Brazil. I'm gonna go south to some beach towns, to some waterfalls, and then to the Amazon. So stay tuned for those episodes. Love you so much. If you're an OG listener or if you're a newbie that I've met on the trip, love you so much. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.